My Big Fat Diet Book by Richard Mason. Chapter 10. Changed for Life. The Christmas of 2016 was a lot better than the previous years. I had a great time being 5 stone less, and even though I was such a different person, I still enjoyed lots of Christmas foods, but healthier versions of Christmas foods that I'd had in many years before. I seemed to put my healthy twist on most foods that I had. In fact, the weigh-in after Christmas, I'd lost another 3 pounds. I continued to lose weight in 2017 and adjusted my target to 5.5 stone. And then with the family wedding coming up the following year in 2018, I decided to do a bit more and take my loss to 6 stone. Wow, 6 stone. It was amazing getting to 6 stone loss, but naturally I seem to maintain around 5.5 stone better. From 2019, I maintained between 5 and 5.5 stone and felt the happiest I had done for a long time. The change in my diet was amazing. Long gone were the thick white slices of toast and peanut butter for breakfast. I now had fruit, yogurt, healthy cereals. Snacks between meals, instead of packets of crisps and biscuits, I now had fruit, rice cakes, carrot sticks, healthy foods. Lunchtimes were now homemade low-fat foods, pastas, couscous, salads, homemade soups. So much better for me than the toasts and crisps and bread that I used to gorge on at a lunchtime. Evening meals now were much more healthier. Homemade food again, pastas, stir-fries, stews, vegetable bakes, lasagnas, cottage pies, all homemade and low-fat and made with fresh ingredients every day, or sometimes I'd do a batch cook and freeze a lot of meals off. Long gone were the frozen, processed meals full of sugar and salt and God knows what else. And also takeaways were just a distant memory. I no longer needed to go get a takeaway when I could just do my own low-fat version at home, saving lots of calories and lots of money at the same time. Maintaining a healthy diet and lifestyle just became second nature. Once you learn the skills of eating and cooking healthy, it stays with you no matter what. No matter what came along to test my patience, I seemed to muddle on through and keep on track. To now be a size I hadn't been for many years was fantastic. To go into clothes shops again and get clothes straight off the peg in a size medium or small was amazing. All of the hard work was very much worth it, and I had worked hard, changing everything about my diet and my lifestyle and my life. I would see friends in the supermarket and they would do a double take and ask if it was me. It felt great to be on the other end of that scale. I did allow myself nights off and days off where I was off plan, but the next day you just get back to the healthy foods and the healthy lifestyle. Following a healthy plan is not a quick fix. It's a lifestyle change, a permanent one. Early 2020, and I bought another PC and turned it into a recording studio and started to write some new songs using samples and beats. I got the idea for an album called Night Driving. The lyrics came first, and then I started to put a few ideas down on the computer. Life seemed pretty good. What could possibly go wrong? March 2020. COVID struck. It hit all our lives like a runaway train. No one knew what was going to happen and how long it was going to last. The night before we were locked down, the first time, I was going for a walk with a friend. These were regular walks. We did these a few times a week. My friend said to me, "It had just been on the news, we have to be locked down as from tomorrow." As we walked round the streets, I think some people had locked themselves down already. It was quiet. There was no one about, not a soul. I can remember the first week of the lockdown. It was awful, stuck in the house on my own. Luckily, I could work from home. But on the bad side, I saw nobody in person all day, all night. Yes, we could call friends and FaceTime family, but it wasn't the same. And after 5 or 10 minutes of being on the phone, you sort of run out of things to say. What was there to say? You're stuck at home all day and you don't see anybody. What was there to talk about? The lockdown did affect my mental health a lot. My anxiety tripled, and I felt like I had this constant weight on my chest. All the days and the nights I was stuck in the house on my own. The only real person or people I saw would be at the supermarket. I was still eating fairly healthy and on plan though, a lot of the time. But I was starting to have some processed ready meals that I was buying in, and I wasn't doing much exercise. I just didn't want to go outside and catch this awful virus that, for all I knew, could make me very poorly or kill me. I found the whole COVID experience quite terrifying, really. Only people who went through it all alone will know how it felt to be separated from all your family and all your friends for that amount of time. By May 2020, my weight had crept back up a bit. I was now at the later end of 13 stone. Wow, how did that happen? I knew I had to get back on track and get back to near my target. I could do it. I'd done it before. The lockdown lapsed a bit by summer and you could be in a bubble, etc. I got myself back on plan and did lots of exercise in the sunshine, with a friend at distance, of course. By July, I was back at my target, just under 13 stone again. I felt better, and we were allowed to go on holiday as the COVID thing seemed to be fading out. Well, for now. I went to Great Yarmouth, and I had a great few days there. I felt like I was back to my normal, healthy, slim self again, and back on plan. Whilst I was there, I chose very healthy meals if I went to a restaurant. By winter time, late October, COVID had come back with a vengeance, and we were locked down again. Again, there was this uncertainty on how long it would last. The second lockdown seemed worse, and we now had to wear these awful face masks that didn't help you breathe very easily. We could have a friend or a family member in a bubble, though, so it did help. I used to go decorating once a week with a friend all the way through winter. This did help. It seemed life was a bit more normal, seeing a real person just once a week for a few hours decorating and having a proper conversation. By the end of this terrible year, it only got worse. My mother was rushed into hospital around New Year. She had to have major surgery. It was the worst year ever. Luckily, my mother made a full recovery. Goodbye 2020, one of the worst years of my life and everybody's life. New Year's 2021 and some friends had bought me a new microphone. It was for Christmas or my birthday, and I set it up with my recording setup at home. So I started to record more music. The microphone was fantastic, the best I'd ever had, and started to put more ideas down for my new album that kept stalling. By spring 2021, I noticed my weight was at the later end of 13 stone again. Wow, how did this happen again? Maybe Christmas and the winter blues. By summer, I was over 14 stone again. It was only a stone or so, but I felt such a different person. I'd let certain things slip. I had some processed foods, more unhealthy meals out than I would normally have. I hadn't gone off plan totally, but I had let things slip a bit. Since COVID, I kept saying to myself, go back to the slimming group and get yourself back on plan properly. But I would always come up with some reason not to go. I also got COVID in early 2021. It hit me like a truck. It started with a sore throat and cold-like symptoms, and then one evening I went to get a drink of water from the kitchen sink and woke up half an hour laid on the kitchen floor. Gazed at the bottom of the kitchen door for a while, and then passed out again, and woke up about another half an hour later, and the next week was a blur of coldy flu-like symptoms like I've never experienced before. Luckily, it soon shifted, but it took about 3 weeks to get my taste and smell back. By the time 2022 had got here, I was now well over 14 stone, and I was having some health problems, back pain and pelvic pain, costochondritis and chronic pelvic pain. These were to be diagnosed at a later date. I was also diagnosed with a gallbladder full of gallstones, which would explain digestion and some stomach issues over the past years. The back pain and the pelvic pain stopped me exercising as much as I would like to, and I was backwards and forwards to the doctors a lot in 2022. But through all this, I managed to continue writing music. I worked with musicians online and worked with people all over the world. And by winter 2022, I had completed a new album, Night Driving. Getting my music played on local radio and making music videos and having my songs released on streaming platforms after all this time felt amazing. A positive end to another crap year, really. 2023 came around and I was now towards the later end of 14 stone. In fact, I hadn't been under 14.5 stone since 2021. Where had the happy, healthy me gone? Don't get me wrong, I hadn't totally gone back and let things slip, and I certainly hadn't gone back to binging and the dozens of packets of crisps a day. In fact, I still only had a few packets of crisps a week. So why was the weight going on? I can honestly say the 1.5 stone or so of weight that had gone back on was through less exercise, health reasons, and a few extra treats here and there, and the way I cooked things wasn't as healthy. I still had a healthy breakfast and lunch, but evening meals were sometimes processed foods, quick meals, things I'd get from the freezer again. All these little changes had made me put on nearly 2 stone. In 2023 I did start to write a second album, a 90s themed album this time, a dance album. This was great fun and it was something to focus on. I record music for fun these days and I'm very relaxed with it. I'm no longer chasing fame and fortune. I don't make anything from releasing music. I just love having my songs out there for other people to listen to. Long gone are the days of starving myself to go to some audition for a band or TV series or something. Long gone are the days of wanting to be an actor or a model. I would like to do some gigs and open mic nights at some point, but we shall see what the future holds. For the past few years my weight has been up and down by a few pounds, but I just couldn't seem to get back to around the 13 stone mark again, not since 2020. What was going on? I had my gallbladder taken out in spring 2023. Maybe this didn't help things. I think the gallbladder helps with digestion of fats in some way, and plus I'm older now. I'm in my mid-40s, not late 30s anymore, like I was when I first changed my diet. It just seems so hard to lose weight nowadays. November 2023. I got weighed one Sunday morning. I'd bought some new scales. They were over £40 and said to be the most accurate scales you can get. They tell you your weight, your BMI, your body fat, your metabolic age and all things like that. I took them out of the box and set them up and stood on them and watched the numbers go up, up, up. 15 stone, £1. What the hell? How had I got to over 15 stone again? I got my old scales out and thought I would try them just to check. I was exactly the same weight, 15 stone, £1 on them. How had I got back to this weight? That was it for me. I knew I had to do something and soon, and stop this weight gain. What was I going to do? There was only one thing I could do. After COVID and a few years of being off plan in many ways, I was fed up of gaining weight that I'd worked so hard to lose. There was only one thing to do. I text Marie from the slimming group. I said, "Hi Marie, it's Richard. I came to your group up until a few years ago. Do you remember me? I was wondering if you still do the groups and if you're still doing them on a Tuesday night." Deep down, I knew she still was. I'd seen banners around the town, but I thought if I messaged her, then there would be no going back, no chickening out of it. Marie messaged back, "Hi Richard, great to hear from you. Yes, I still do the groups and the Tuesday evenings. It would be lovely to see you." I didn't text back to confirm either way, but I knew I was going to go back. I had had enough of putting weight back on. Now I was over 15 stone again. No way was I letting any more creep back on. Tuesday evening came around pretty quickly, and I went to the group. It was a freezing November evening in 2023. I made my way into the group building and walked over to the sign-in and weigh-in area. I had found out my weighing-in book, but couldn't see my card anywhere. I thought they might just give me a new card anyway, with it being a few years since I was last there. To say I got a warm welcome was an understatement. It was as if I'd never been away for a few years. Marie was lovely. We had a bit of a catch-up, After tipping out all of my cards from my wallet, I eventually found my 7-year-old retro Slimming Group card. The lovely lady on the check-in desk gave it a quick clean, and it worked. I didn't have to pay anything to rejoin. I got weighed, and I was just over 15 stone, just as my scales at home had told me. But on the positive side, if I could manage to lose over 2 stone in 1 week, it would be free again next week, and I'd be back on target. I'm pretty good at losing weight, but I don't think I could lose 2 stone in 1 week. I think I picked the Tuesday 7 p.m. group because I thought it would be the quietest night to start back. It wasn't too busy, but it wasn't quiet. The group was new to me. I'd never been to this Tuesday night at 7 o'clock group before, but it soon became obvious that it was a friendly, happy, lovely and warm crowd of people. They were all welcoming, lots of new faces, in fact mostly new faces. People do chop and change around with some of the groups they go to, so you do recognise some people, but it was mainly new faces. It was nice to be back at the group and to be updated with the plan and to become more familiar with it again. I left that evening's meeting feeling confident about the week ahead, and just like last time, I called at the supermarket and filled the cupboards with all the food and tools for success. It didn't take much to get back into, really, as I'd never fully been off the plan. I think I was still doing it at least 50%, but it wasn't enough. That's why I was back at the group, just over 15 stone again. In the first week of doing the plan again, 100%, I lost 3.5 pounds. This mirrored what I'd lost when I first joined 7 years ago. How spooky. Maybe a sign to keep going. And keep going is what I did. The weight kept coming off. Some weeks it was just half a pound. Some weeks it was 2. Some weeks it was 2.5. But I kept going because I had something to aim for again. It was different this time. Last time my losses could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 pounds in 1 week. But I was a lot bigger back then, and I was younger, but nonetheless I was still losing, so I wasn't too bothered. By Christmas I had lost over half a stone. At Christmas time I got this awful bug. It was like the worst man flu, cough and cold all rolled in together that wouldn't go away. I didn't get back to the group until late January. I hadn't been weighed since before Christmas. I'd had Christmas, my birthday, plus 3 weeks laid on the sofa doing no exercise and eating anything that was quick and simple, having cough sweets by the dozen just so I could breathe. But by the time I got back to group, I had only put on a couple of pounds back. I was pleased with this. As the nights started to get lighter, I started to get more active, with walking, some cycling, to help with the plan. Some weeks I would get a good loss of 2 pounds, but other weeks it would be 1 pound, or even nothing. Maintaining is quite frustrating, especially when you know you've stuck to the plan as much as you can, and you've done lots of exercise. You sort of scratch your head and think, what is going on? Just staying the same. At times, it felt like I was chipping away at an iceberg, but I was chipping away at the very last bit, so I wasn't too fazed or upset. By May 2024, I got back to my 5 stone target. Well, just over actually. And I also won Slimming Man of the Year competition at the group. Amazing. At the evening of the Man of the Year competition, we had to give a speech about why we were doing this slimming group and what it meant to us, how our life had changed. I briefly tried to condense this whole audiobook into 5 minutes. I think I got my point across. I talked about where I'd come from, struggling with my weight at an early age, all the stupid diets I'd tried, the slimming pills, the slimming shakes, hypnosis, all the ups and downs with my weight. I got a bit emotional. I don't like public speaking, but I think I got my point across, and I won. End of chapter 10.